It's time to talk about Las Vegas with Ira. Each week, Ira David Sternberg talks with the celebrities, entertainers, writers, and personalities who make Las Vegas the most exciting city in the world. And now, here's Ira.
My guest is Rick Michel, co-producer and writer of the new show, Jew-Man Group, at the Tuscany Hotel and Casino, Wednesdays through Saturdays at 5:30. The show, according to Rick, is a comedy thousands of years in the making. For ticket information, go to the box office at the Tuscany, or you can go to Jew-Man Group, and also for everything about the show, go to jewmangroup.com. Rick, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me, Ira.
Sure.
It's not only a comedy thousands of years in the making. We're changing that tagline to a comedy about and for everybody or everyone, because a lot of people are pigeonholing this thing as this is just for Jews. Well, it's not. A lot of people are coming in that are not Jewish, and they're just on the floor laughing. They're enjoying it as much. There is a lot of flavor of Judaism in there as far as Jewish humor, because we play homage to the Borscht Belt and the Catskills and all the shtick from Don Rickles and Jerry Lewis all the way to Seinfeld and Adam Sandler. So you have all these Jewish comics, and we have a telephone bit that Shelley Berman did. I tell a Myron Cohen joke. So, it has its flavors,
Let's talk a little bit about the Catskills, because many of my listeners may not know about the history of the Catskills, and you obviously drew your inspiration from that area in New York. What was it about that area and that time, the Borscht Belt, that produced all these famous Jewish comedians? And when I say famous, they were nationally known.
You had the Browns, the Neville, Grossingers. Basically, they were New York Jews. Most of them were New York Jews. Rickles and Jerry Lewis and Shecky Green, that they just migrated upstate New York, and they had all these hotels and resorts that just was like a haven for all these great comics, Jewish comics.
And how did you develop an interest in writing this show about that brand of humor, in a sense? That is meant for everybody, because, as you said, these comedians, Shecky Green, Don Rickles, Sid Caesar, and others, were nationally appreciated. It wasn't just Jewish people that enjoyed it. Right, exactly.
And that's the point we want to drive home. But my kudos to Dick Feeney, who approached me about 7 years ago for lunch and said, listen, I got an idea for a show, or at least I got the name of a show. And when he told me the name, I said, man, this is a no-brainer, especially in Las Vegas. I mean, not that we're springboarding off of Blue Man Group, but it's just very catchy. And what inspired me was all these great comics, and just because I've been doing humor like this. I've been doing impressions of Jerry Lewis and Woody Allen and a lot of Jewish comics that throughout my career. And then all of a sudden now it's come full circle where Dick Feeney and I we worked together back in the early 90s in Viva Las Vegas. That was the first show that we did together. And we've done several since. We've written a bunch of other shows together. And this is one that's going to, what I think is lightning at a bottle, especially when we take it to Florida and Palm Springs and even back to New York.
But you're going to base it here in Las Vegas.
Absolutely. This is our anchor. We've been open for about 5 weeks, and the first 4 weeks we had Sammy King, legendary ventriloquist Sammy King, and then he left the show, and now we have Joel Leader as a ventriloquist, comic ventriloquist. We have comic impressionist Rick Natoli and myself, and it's 3 guys and a piano player. Bill Chenoweth is our piano player, and this show, it just starts off with, you walk into Alan Sherman music, hello mother, hello father. And it's the live recordings, and it's just brilliant atmosphere to walk into, all these parodies. And he was a genius about doing parodies. And that's the flavor that we give in the very beginning. And then Linda November laid down a voiceover as an elderly grandmother saying that this is a disclaimer that we're not politically correct in this show, and we are not, Ira. I'm going to just say that right up front. Everybody's been walking on eggshells in today's entertainment market. A lot of comics have been, their feet that have been put to the grill, and we are just not holding back anything. We're making fun of the Polish people, the Irish people, the blacks, the Asians, anybody you can think of that's in this show, we're making fun of. Not fun of, but making light and making jokes. And that's what it was all about. To be honest with you, like somebody like Rickles, God bless his soul. He was the greatest guy in the world. I met him a couple of times, and it's unfortunate you couldn't have Rickles today. It would not be politically correct. I mean, you couldn't have somebody, it's like, you couldn't put an All in the Family on TV. You couldn't have Blazing Saddles in the movie theater. I mean, there are things that people can't say and do. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to brush the fur coat of the cat the wrong way. I mean, we're trying to make everybody, and making it very clear up front that we're just, if you can't laugh at yourself, laugh at everybody else. And that's our motto.
Obviously, I know the demographic that this will appeal to, but I think you could even get a younger demographic just for people to be exposed to this kind of comedy.
Absolutely. We have had young couples. We've had older couples. We've had people from the temples that have come in, and people that are just literally every race, creed, and color has come into our show. And again, one of my dear friends came in last night with a Mexican friend of his, and I do a Mexican joke, and he took us off. He did.
Which is a technical term, took us.
Took us, yeah.
Yes.
I was going to go the other way, but I decided to go.
No, that's fine. So, yeah, I think that could work. And especially, too, it's almost there's a term called counter-programming. What you seem to be doing is you and Dick are counter-programming what's available on the Strip in downtown Las Vegas. You're not going to find that anywhere else, this particular type of show. And
exactly.
You obviously have disclaimers up that if you're going to be offended, then don't come in.
Right, pretty much.
Right.
I mean, they do that in Absinthe. I don't know if have you seen Absinthe?
No, but I know that they do that there too. Yes.
Yeah. In the very beginning, they say immediately that they're doing curse words, and then they use the curse words. And if you don't like it, they, leave now,
Right,
So basically that's what we're doing in the front.
How did you structure the show? Once Dick gave you the idea, and I have another idea for you, and I would like a part of the royalty from the show if you accept my idea. Because right now it's Jew Man Group, and you mentioned about Blue Man Group. What if you brought in paint and it's Blue Jew Man Group?
Well, we didn't want to go that far into it.
All right, fine.
Actually, we walk out with hats and payas, and we come out with 5-gallon Home Depot buckets, and we sit down on stools, and we do a little rim shot and oi, and then we do jokes round robin, and then Haba Nagila riffs go in between, and that's as close as we get to Blue Man Group because of the 5-gallon orange.
I was just thinking of the title, Blue Jew Man Group. I thought that would be an extra little
Blue Jew Man Group. Yeah.
All right, you didn't laugh, and you're not going to give me my royalties. Okay, fine. We'll leave it be at that. Okay. Now, how did you structure the show? You mentioned a little bit of it just now, but you obviously have to write a certain amount of scenarios so that no matter who's in the production, it'll work. So there's an overall format, right?
It's basically the feature of the show are the acts. You have 3 separate comedians that have their own 10 to 12 minute acts.
How long is the total show?
Hour.
Okay.
Hour 5. It's a short show, but it's perfect timing, and we have so much that goes into it. The backbone of the show is the individual specialty act, and then in between, I came up with an opening song, a parody of Comedy Tonight from A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. And then I go into my act, and then we just start skits. In other words, we have a Walker bit that I came up with we have hospital gowns, and we're doing it to staying alive. You can tell by the way we use our walk. Anyway, we have choreography in that bit. It's very funny. Another skit that I wrote is Name That Jew, and it's the host and 2 contestants, and he gives us clues, and we have to name the Jew, and it's really funny. There's a couple of things that are, again, it's not all Jewish humor. It's we have one that's Homeland Security skit, We have one that's Breck Wall did a show many years ago called Bottoms Up, and he did a bit that the Schitt's family. It's SCHITD.
Yeah, like Schitt's Creek.
Exactly like Schitt's Creek. So, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about for those people who are not familiar with Rick Michel. Rick's been on the show several times. Share with people a little bit about your background, because you've been in the business a long time. There's your classic Dean Martin show and others as well, Frank Sinatra, obviously. But how did you start out in show business?
That's an interesting question. Well, I think most of comics start out as a class clown. I did open mic night back in the 70s with the Comedy Store in La Jolla, and then Hollywood, 5 minutes. And then someone saw me and wanted to cast me in Grease, one of the road tours. And I was the mooning champ of Rydell High. I played Rump. And it was the first time I ever got paid to sing and do comedy in a show. That was 1980. And then after that closed, I did an audition for Jeff Kutash up in LA, and he cast me for a show here in Las Vegas, Hollywood Goes Broadway at the Tropicana in 1981. Between Greece and Vegas, I did a couple of things here and there, more comedy clubs. And I started, I was doing impressions, and then I fell into big band. And now I sing, I do impressions, I do stand up, and it's a nice combination to keep me afloat. So as you know, Ira, you got to keep reinventing yourself. I mean, I've been doing this over about 45 years now, and you've got to really reinvent yourself. I mean, Vegas doesn't know who Frank Sinatra is anymore the way it used to be. So my Sinatra is, I make my bread and butter with Sinatra in South America. As a matter of fact, I'm going to Brazil in November for 3 weeks to do a tour. But my wife and I bought a place in Florida because we figured we'd go to God's waiting room, because they know who half the people I am, like, Rodney Dangerfield, Bob Hope, Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra. And then COVID hit. So we still have a house there, but then this show came about. And it's funny, it'll be full circle because we still have a house in Florida, and I'll end up going back to Florida with this show. So as far as my career is concerned, I love comedy. I love making people laugh. It's an instantaneous gratification. You can't get any job that has more, if you will, pat on the back right away than, getting the memo in a cubicle 2 weeks after you've done something good. I mean, that's comedy is like the best. And then the singing comes from my soul. I don't know where. I don't read any music, but all these charts and Sinatra songs that I sing, and I just love singing. It's so emotional, and I'm very selective with the songs that I choose. And then when we came about doing this show, Jew-Man Group, I kind of put a cumulative amount of impressions, singing. I even throw in a little Sinatra, a verse and a chorus of My Way, doing a parody of his Bad Golf. It's called Bad Day on the Golf Course. And then I was going to throw in Neil Diamond with, instead of Sweet Caroline, Sweet Holivar, but that didn't fly. So, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, we take it out. And we're constantly evolving. I mean, jokes are a funny thing. It's a science. One word can change the whole dynamics of a joke. And, that's what it's all about.
When you start putting together the show, you're looking for obviously certain aspects of it. And as you mentioned, you change some of the scripting, you change some of the performers, people come and go, etc. Are you basing a lot of it on audience reaction, or you start to see something with your experience and with Dick's experience?
Oh, no, it's absolutely audience reaction. If you do a joke 3 days in a row and it doesn't do anything, throw it out. That's it. I mean, you give it a chance and you do it. We've had where we've played to 30 people. We've played to 80 people. I mean, the room holds 130 and we're just starting out. But if you can't make 80 people laugh with a joke, it's not going to work. So just take it out. And that's what we've been doing, especially in the very beginning. We have literally 18 18 jokes in the very beginning of the show that we go round robin. Just simple things like I'll say, I just came back from a pleasure trip. The other guy said, what, you took your mother-in-law to the airport? It's all that kind of Borscht Belt shtick that vaudeville shtick that you go around doing, and it's a lot of fun.
Do you find that you get people coming in that have been to the Borscht Belt or know of the Borscht Belt and that's why they're attracted to the show, or is it mostly people that are not sure what the Borscht Belt is, but they come in to see the show because, again, you're counter-programming?
What's drawing the people in is our little logo, the Jew-Man Group logo, and people are just curious, what is that about? Well, they just want to know why Jew-Man Group? Well, what's the show about? And they're very pleasantly surprised when they see what we've done with it. And again, it's ever evolving, but we're honing it down so that it is going to be a well-oiled machine in the next couple of weeks. Right now, we're still getting some of the bugs out of it. And then we weren't happy with one joke with Rich coming out and doing a bit. And I gave him another joke and he loved it. He's going to try it tonight. So it's that kind of hem and haw, you just see what works, what doesn't work,
Do you think that your time, which is 5:30, that's a plus, isn't it? Because so many shows are later, obviously, in the evening. And
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of times you have the afternoon show or the 4:00 show, and then you have the normal time, which is about 8, and then one more show at 11 or at midnight. But you're right in the middle there at 5:30. It seems like that would work very well, not only for the show, but having dinner either before or after.
Absolutely. That's the perfect time to have dinner either before or after the show. And we have a package deal that comes with the show if you want, or without the show. You can just come in or you could just eat and not see the show at all.
Can't they deliver food from the restaurant to the showroom, and that way people can...
No. We're not eating it's not a dinner show. But I'm sure that people are sneaking some rolls in their purses as they're walking in there. It's Jewish law. It's like when you say to a woman, "Excuse me, ma'am, is anything okay?" That's the typical.
Do you run by any of your, not so much politically incorrect material, but do you run any of your Jewish humor through any other, like a panel of Jewish comedians or rabbis or people that have a sense of humor to see that it works, or do you just rely on the audience itself?
No. Well, my biggest critic is my wife.
She's talked to me about you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She lost your number, by the way.
Yeah, I
know. But she said that, she thinks I'm crossing the line when I do this joke, and that's not really funny. And then just to prove her wrong, I'm going to go up there and try it anyway, and usually she's right.
Yes. Shouldn't you? I mean, to save your marriage, Rick, shouldn't you just say "You're right, dear" and not even try it on stage?
That's true. Yeah, that's what I should be doing.
Yeah, just a suggestion.
But actually, she's very smart, but I do talk to other comics too. I mean, and comics are just coming at me and flooding me with jokes, inundating me with just all this different material that I could use, and I have literally, a thick stack of jokes that I've collected in the last 45 years that I've written down, and I have them in my archives, and I have so much material that you could do 2 of these shows and they would be completely different. So
well, you could get the Milton Berle joke book and have enough for 100 years.
Yeah.
Of course, he borrowed those or stole those from other comedians, right?
And Milton Berle stole that from everybody.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah, no, that works. Do you see franchising or licensing the show beyond, you mentioned in Florida and possibly New York, do you see franchising or licensing the show in other markets in addition to Florida and New York?
Yeah, well, yes. As a matter of fact, we have an agent that does all Broadway shows, and he can plug us into, those theaters that have resident tickets. And we can just throw us in there and maybe for a week or two. And he has ideas of doing, 400-500 seat theaters around the country. So we're not only just, going to be sitting down in one area. I mean, we could make a career out of Florida. I mean, just South Florida alone, with all the, the theaters that they have down there, Kravitz Center and all of them. Right now we're trying to get the legs on this show, get the bones. We've been recording it and going to school on ourselves and just making it the best it can be. And it's just getting funnier and funnier. And everybody, I'm telling you, Ira, and I'm not just tooting my own horn, but everybody loves this show. They come out laughing. And even Dick said, I've never seen a show where people have been laughing this much throughout the whole show. In the first 5 weeks, I asked him, because Dick also produces the Rat Pack is Back at the Tuscany. And I said, well, how many standing ovations does the Rat Pack get? He says, maybe one every 6-7 weeks. I said, you realize we've had 5 standing ovations in 5 weeks? I mean, that's 20%.
Well, it sounds like you've hit a nerve.
I think so. I think we did. I think that it's long overdue, Ira. I mean, everybody is so clammed up and is so afraid of saying certain things. We say it for them. And that's the beauty of this show.
Well, as I say, it's counter-programming. You mentioned about tooting your own horn. You don't have to. You could just toot mine, which, that'd be fine.
Sure,
I don't mind getting praised. Why not? So anyway, with your background in show business and entertainment, I'm assuming that in thinking through how this progresses, you have people that you are backed up with. What I mean by that is that you have backup material, obviously, for jokes, as you mentioned, and you also probably have people that you can book for the show if need be as well, if somebody leaves.
Understudy.
Yes, an understudy.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Matter of fact, we have a couple of people that have come and seen the show. Originally, they didn't want to do the show because they didn't like what was on the paper. But when they saw it executed, they saw our vision, and now they went back in the show. I'm not going to mention any names, but Larry Wilson, a great funny comic magician, came down from Reno today, and he's going to see the show for the next 2 nights. And we have Sammy King is the understudy for Joel Leader now. And so I'm looking for an understudy for myself. And we still have auditions. We're putting it out there. Anybody that has any specialty act, comedy, a ventriloquist, juggler, magician, ventriloquist, anything.
And that's all on your website, jewmangroup.com.
Yeah, there's an audition page for it.
Right. Before I let you go, when you look at humor today and comedy today and entertainment today, it's certainly different than it was when you first started out. It's never going to go back to the way it was, but what it sounds like you're trying to do with this show is at least bend the curve back a little bit so that people can laugh and just feel free to laugh, not worry about being offended or having their date or their wife or spouse offended as well.
Right. Well, Ira, the bottom line is funny is funny. I mean, if it makes you laugh, I mean, that's all that really matters. And if it doesn't make them laugh, we don't use it. So that's why they're laughing so much in this show, because we're tweaking it so that this is a nonstop laughing show. I mean, you're having fun the whole day, the whole hour.
And just without getting too broadly sociological, laughter is very much part of the human condition and in the human condition in society. So if people can't laugh, they're going to be miserable. Laughing is a release of tension, it's an acknowledgement of certain truths. And
right.
So that's what I think you're saying in a less academic way than I'm saying it.
Absolutely. Well, we're just trying to make, for the 1 hour that we're doing this show, is for everybody just forget their problems and just sit back and just have a good time.
And why is it you're wearing, nobody can tell because we're recording audio, but you're wearing what appears to be a prison jumpsuit. Why is that? Is it just you feel like you're in jail with me?
Well,
it looks like that to me.
It does look like a prison jumpsuit. Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm in the witness protection program, and I just got out, and it's.
I think that's a great way to leave it on a laugh. Let's do that. My guest has been Rick Michel, co-producer and writer of the new show Jew Man Group at the Tuscany Hotel and Casino, Wednesdays through Saturdays at 5:30. For ticket information, go to the box office at the Tuscany, or you can go to the website, jumangroup.com. That's also for all the information about the show, as well as auditions that are open for people as well. So, hey, Rick, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks so much for having me again, Ira. I really appreciate your valuable time. And please come out and see the show anytime, you and your wife.
Will do. See you next time.
You've been listening to Talk About Las Vegas with Ira. Each week, Ira David Sternberg talks with the celebrities, entertainers, writers, and personalities who make Las Vegas the most exciting city in the world.
Anything you want us to